You cannot imagine pain, the trials I've had to endure. You don't know my story. You don't know the day I was at my lowest point. You cannot imagine the strongholds and the walls that stand. But God has been faithful to me. He promised He would never leave. My story proves that God can use me. Deliverance is my testimony. You don't know
my story.
It would blow your mind.
That's the key. They don't know.
My story.
Say it, LeJune.
You don't know my story. The anguish and the guilt that consume me. Grateful I can tell it. For no more shall the shackles condemn me. You don't know my story.
Good morning. Happy Saturday. Oh my goodness. Welcome to Dear Life After. If it is your first time tuning in with us, please, we thank you for joining. We know that you could have been doing what? Something else on this beautiful Saturday morning. But you chose to be here with us, and for that, we're grateful. Whoever is here and on here today, we know that this is where you're supposed to be. Today, oh my goodness, on this beautiful Saturday. So today is just going to be me, you, and Jesus on today, right? So I'm excited because what he has given me to give to you on today is I'm just going to share with you a little bit, hopefully encourage someone. Hopefully we will impact somebody's life on today. Because we're going to talk about what? You don't know my story. And that fits probably everyone who is tuned in today. Because so often what people judge us, people make assumptions about our lives, but they don't know our story. And when I think about that, what comes to mind is that people make prejudgments. And let me just give a disclaimer. I am guilty of that. I am working on it though, because what? I'm not perfect. There is no perfect person here on this earth. So again, I want to thank everybody who has joined in. So please like, tag, share with your friends, your family, your aunties, uncles, mommy, daddy, boo thing. Invite them all to join us here on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. So when we talk about you don't know my story, because naturally with the eye, we see people and we make an assumption about their lives. So when they jump out their cars, whether that's Lamborghinis, whether that's Maybachs, Audis, Mercedes, whatever it is. So then we're looking like, oh, okay, well, they have it all together. But little do we know what they've had to endure. I mean, just think about that. Like, put a pin there and just think about that. Because we don't know if that lady jumping out of that Lamborghini, if she just left home and had to deal with domestic violence. We don't know if she just had to deal with depression. We don't know what battles people are fighting within. But because they have gotten up and they have put on that face, they have put on that smile, because what? You owe it to yourself. We make assumptions that everything is okay. And that's not necessarily the case. But what is okay is when I think about the song that was just playing, because listen, that song is so personal to me because it speaks of my life. I mean, let's think about it. Let's kind of break that down. It says life and favor. Some people have seen where God has brought you from. They really don't understand it. They don't know your story. They do not know the things that you've come through. Because when I think about that, I think about that I'm here and I have this smile. This smile is for real. Because why? Because you don't understand the things that he's brought me through. So we'll just name a few of them. Because like I said, when people look at you, they make assumptions about you because of the way you look, the way you carry yourself. But I don't look like the things that I've had to endure. So I don't look like that I had to endure 4 years of prison. I don't look like that I dealt with child molestation. I don't look like that I've had to deal with domestic violence. I don't look like that I've had to just deal with just trying to navigate through life, that life is lifing. But because God promised he would never leave me, and trust and believe he has not. So I have life and favor over my life. See, my story proves that God can use anybody. That's what my story proves. See, I don't know about you because I can only speak for me, but my story proves that God can use anybody. So let's not be judging people in regards to thinking what's going on in their lives. It says that let not corrupt talk come out of your mouths, but only such is a good for building up. So see, we should be building each other up. We should not be tearing each other down because we don't know what somebody's had to endure. Because we don't what? We don't know their story. We don't know what somebody has had to deal with just moments before they got to where they were going, what they had to endure. I mean, think about that. I mean, just really let that resonate in your spirit because it is so, so important that we build each other up, that we're not tearing each other down, that we are building each other up. So what? Susie started the same kind of business that you have. It's okay. It's enough money for everybody. And then we have to also remember what's for you is for you. No devil in hell can stop what God has destined over your life. And when we remember those things and speak those things over our life, then we don't be worried about Susie's doing the same thing. Because if that's the vision that God gave you, then keep pushing. Keep pushing. I hope that you are letting this resonate within you on today because it's so important that we don't have to be judging others. We have our own lifing things to deal with. And when it says that you don't know my story, that's true. Now, me, myself, I'm an open book because God has brought me through so many things in my life. And so I cannot sit back and not share that. I cannot sit back and be ashamed to share of his goodness, his grace, his mercy, things that he's done for me that not because I'm so good or that I'm deserving of it, but why did he do it? Because he promised he would never leave us. He told us he had plans for our lives to prosper us, not to harm us, for a good hope, for a future. See, these are all promises and things that he's told us. And so when we're going through things, if we just sit back and if we regroup, reset, and reconnect to him, then we'll be able to navigate through those life-altering events. Because then we'll be reminded of he's with us, that there's a lesson in the things that we go through. So, what is it that you're dealing with? Talk to me this morning. Tell me some of the things that you're dealing with, because we're here to help you navigate through life. Because that's what we're called to do, is to help each other. We're supposed to build each other up. We're not supposed to be telling you about negative things. We're supposed to encourage. And that's what we want to do. Remember, because there is a dear life after. I am a what? Example of dear life after. Can you only imagine? When I think about the things that I've endured, I think about, you know what? Someone else might would have lost their mind having to deal with the stuff that I've had to deal with. But that was my path. For whatever reason, that was my path. Could it have been my path so that I could be here today to encourage you? Absolutely. That could be one of the reasons. I'm sure there are a number of reasons that God says, yes, I will be with you. Now, don't get me wrong. I've faced some bad decisions in life. And we have to understand that there are consequences for every decision we make. So whether that's a good consequence or a bad one. So when I made the decision to make those bad mortgage loans, then I had to suffer the consequences. And that was federal prison. We have to be accountable for our things. We have to be accountable for the things that we do in life. We have to accept responsibility. Once you accept responsibility, then you can repent for those things. But if you want to act like you didn't do them, or they were just messing with you, then that's on you. Maybe you won't get the lesson that you were supposed to get. But no, we're not in judgment, because I don't know your story. But I do know that I want to encourage someone that through the depression, through the domestic violence, through the divorce, through the kids not acting right, through that loved one in jail, that God is there, no matter what it looks like. Talk to him, reconnect with him, regroup, and reconnect with him. So often we have to restart. You know how so often you might start having problems with your phone, your cell phone. Your phone's not doing what it should do. It's just acting crazy. Maybe it's not ringing. Maybe your text messages are not coming through. And so you have to power it off, right? You have to power it off so that it can reconnect with the system. And sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to shut down so that we can reconnect with the system. And that's him. So sometimes we have to shut ourselves off so that we can reconnect with him. I mean, like, think about that. Let that resonate in your spirit. Is that what you're doing? Are you shutting off so that you can reconnect with him? Is it time for you to share your story? Are you sharing the goodness of him? I mean, just sit back and ask yourself. I mean, ponder on that on today. Is that what you're doing? Because remember, our stories are for the use of His glory, because they're things that He's brought us through. It's not so that we can sing like we're some great person, because remember, it's not because we're deserving, but it's because of His grace and His mercy. So just think about those things. I mean, this is what He gave me in my spirit. This is what He said, to just share with them and let them know. You don't know my story, but know life and favor. Life and favor. Somebody is making a decision about you right now, but they don't know your story. They don't know the things that you've had to endure. Because we've all endured some things. Maybe your path was not the same as my path. Maybe you've never been to prison. Maybe you've never been molested. Maybe you've never dealt with domestic violence. Maybe you've gone through an ugly divorce. Maybe you've had verbal abuse that you've dealt with. Maybe you've dealt with depression. Maybe you deal with anxiety. There are so many things. Maybe you've dealt with a drug addiction. Maybe you've dealt with being an alcoholic. See, somebody is looking at you thinking, oh my goodness, they got it going on. But you and God know the battles that you've had to fight to get to where you are. See, it's kind of like a book. Get a book, and in order to know what has happened, you have to read the book. You can't just look at the cover and be like, eh. Now, mind you, I've done that. But you can't just be like, eh. Because the only way you're going to know the story is to read the book. So the only way someone's going to know what you've endured, that is to get to know you. So that's by you telling your story. That's by you telling the things that He's brought you through. And somebody needs to know it's okay. Just because I look like this, it's because of His grace and His mercy. Favor isn't fair. And it's okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Because, I sit there, when this song was playing, and it almost brought me to tears because it speaks to me. It speaks to my very being. Because if I had an anthem, this would be it. Because you don't know. And to think about that, God used me. He uses me. What an honor. Because I know the things, like I said, that I've done. So it's an honor that he chose me to use me. Because somebody, some lady somewhere was probably saying, oh, she looks like, oh my God, she look like she got it going on. Well, listen, God has it going on because he's done some stuff in my life. He's done some stuff in my life. I remember the days of enduring domestic violence, physical abuse, and still going out, putting on that smile like I had it going on. But God, I remember sharing my story about prison and somebody saying, well, you don't look like you've been to prison. Well, what does that look like? What does that look like? Because the God I serve doesn't want me to look downtrodden. He wants me to have joy, unspeakable joy. And he wants that for you as well. It's not just something he wants for Rosalind. He wants it for all of us. But we have the decision on how we will handle things. Because he's given us free will. So when we make decisions, we make choices, those are our choices. Not necessarily the plans that he has for us when we make decisions. And sometimes that's why we have to endure some things. Because he told us to go left and we decided we wanted to go right. Is that what you're doing? Is that how you're handling things? And it's not easy because life is lifing. You know, I was talking, having a conversation with some friends, and everybody you talk to, they're having problems. Everybody's having problems. Everybody's having financial problems, most of all. Life is lifing. But in the midst of life lifing, God is still here. He's still with us. So, I tell people that I can't, worry and faith can't coexist. They cannot be in the same place. So either you're going to trust him or you're going to worry about it. And that is so much easier said than done. But you have to get to a place in life where you totally trust him with everything. Because whatever it is that you have is because he allows you the ability to have it. It was because of his favor. Remember? See, God's favor is giving us the ability to do something that is humanly impossible for us to do. Now, I can think of a whole lot of things that I have been humanly impossible to do, but because of his favor, it was accomplished. Even being right here with you on today. It's his favor. If you knew the struggle, the battles, the obstacles that came to keep me from doing Dear Life After. The crying, being frustrated. I had an original launch date of November the 13th of last year. But that's not when we launched. But it's okay because I had to tell myself, I trust you, Lord. I trust you. I trust you to do just what you said you would do. He said he would bring it to fruition. So here we are. He said he's going to blow my mind with this podcast. And I trust him because it's all in his timing. I encourage you to trust him. Trust him. No matter what it looks like to the natural eye, trust him. You know, a friend of mine, her family, they do a prayer. And so every morning I've used that prayer before I even roll out of bed. Sometimes before I open my eyes, but I lay there awake. And it goes a little something like this. Lord, I am confident that nothing will happen today that you and I cannot handle together. I acknowledge you in all my ways. Those are some powerful, powerful words when you think about it. Because you're putting your trust in him because you said, Lord, I'm confident that ain't nothing going to happen today that we can't handle together. I'm going to acknowledge you in everything, regardless of what it is. Because that's it. That is it. Because whatever it is that you're going to endure on today, you need him to be able to handle it with you. And what happens is we only think about him handling our bad stuff sometimes. No, I want you to enjoy. Me and you gonna handle this good stuff together too, Jesus. Not just that bad stuff. We're gonna handle the good together. Because all of it belongs to him. All of it. So whatever it is that you're going through, whether you've lost your job, whether you've lost your husband or wife, whether your kids are acting up, whether you're dealing with depression, whether you're facing going to jail, whether you're having financial problems, whatever it is, we stand in agreement with you on today that from this moment going forward, if you put all your trust in him, that your life will never be the same. So I encourage you that right now, that you trust him, that you give it to him. It tells us to cast our burdens upon him because he cares. So we want to trust him on today with all of our issues on today. With all of them. Not just some of them, but all of them. Because it says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not some, but all. So we just asked you. So whether it is prayer requests that you want to throw in the chat so that we can pray for you, we want to keep everyone encouraged and knowing that we're not judging, that we're uplifting, encouraging, because that is what we're here for. That is what it is about. We're here on Dear Life After to share our stories, to make an impact on someone's life. And if we only impact one life, that's okay. Because remember, he went after the one sheep. And so we want to make sure that we're doing what he's called us to do. Ask yourself, are you walking and living out the purpose that God has given you? Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is? I know you're thinking, this is not what I was expecting on today. Me neither. But I have learned to be obedient. So I just want to ask you that. Do you know? Have you thought about what is it that God has called you to do? We all have a purpose. Yours might not be preaching. Yours might be feeding the homeless. Yours might be helping children. I mean, it could be so many things. But have you asked God what those things are? He will tell you. Do you know and you just haven't started? If that's the case, I challenge you. Get started. Stop making excuses. He's waiting on you. He is waiting on you. Are you trusting him in all aspects? Ask yourself those questions. Those are things I want you to think about as you go through your weekend. Ask yourself that. Like I said, this is not what I expected on today either, but this is what he gave me. And so I had to share it with you. You don't know my story. You don't know the things that I've had to endure. You cannot imagine. You just can't imagine. You can't imagine the sleepless nights, the crying, the praying. You can't imagine. Yeah. You know, a part of the song says, so just let me tell you, by faith, you may as well break out and dance. In all, God has been faithful to me. He promised he would never leave me. My story proves that God can use me. Deliverance is my testimony. Listen, literally, that line says, by faith, you may as well break out and dance. Let me tell you. Because he's done so much. Yes. And by faith, yes. Does it make me feel like dancing? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know that I have to trust him. I have to trust him. You know, and it's so funny because my pastor preached about living out your faith. We have to live it out. We can't just talk about it. We have to live it out. And this is just confirmation. We got to live it out, people. Walk in it. Walk in your truth, whatever that may be. Don't let someone dim your light. Don't let someone, you know what I'm saying, have you discouraged in regards to sharing what God has done in your life. God has been faithful. We can trust God, but can he trust you? Can he trust you? Think about that. We are always talking about what we want from God because we always want something from him. What can he expect from you? We supposed to put all our trust in him. Can God trust us? Can he trust us to tell somebody what he's done for us, what he's brought us through, how he made a way? How when you didn't know how you were going to pay that light bill? How when you didn't know how you were going to feed those kids? How when you didn't know if your marriage was going to last? How you didn't know how you were going to be out of that domestic abuse relationship? How you did not know how you were going to put gas in the car? How you didn't know how you were going to come out of that depression? But he was still faithful. He's never left. Just ask yourself those things. Ask yourself, will you trust him when they turn the lights off? Will you still trust him when they pick up your car? Will you still trust him when you lose your husband or wife? Will you trust him no matter what comes your way? Ask yourself. Because he's been faithful. He's been faithful. I just need you to be encouraged as you go through the week and think about all the things that he's brought you through. Not the things that are not going right in your life, but think about those things that he's brought you through. Think about the good things. Because remember, so a man thinketh, so is he. So you have to put the good things into the atmosphere. So I want to leave you with that on today. Remember, you don't know my story. When somebody looks at you, remember that. You don't know my story. But think about those words of that song, about the things that he's brought you through, about him using you so that others could see what he's done. Let's build each other up. Let's not put our mouths on others unless we're uplifting, encouraging. Those are the things that we want to do. Because God's, my story proves of his goodness. Not because of something that I've done that I'm so great, but because of his grace and his mercy. Sometimes we just have to, God has to humble us and remind us. It's not because we're this great person that we try to do the right thing in life, but if it was not for his grace and mercy, so be reminded on today. You don't know my story, and I don't know yours. But I'm going to uplift, I'm going to encourage. I want you to regroup and reconnect with him, because that's what's most important. Dear life after, so often I can't see the forest for the trees. Dear life after, you don't know my story, Dear life after. Because there was a story, there is a dear life after. Dear life after. All the things that I've had to endure. Dear life after. There was depression. Dear life after, there was divorce. Dear life after, there was domestic abuse. Dear life after, there was prison. Dear life after, there was anxiety. Dear life after, I thank you. Dear life after, we celebrate the greatness. Dear life after, I trust you. Dear life after, because of you, there is a now. Dear life after, we will break out and dance. Dear life after, they don't understand. Dear life after, they judge you. Dear life after, he's about to blow your mind. Dear life after, he knows my name. Dear life after, because of you, I am. Dear life after, he uses me. Dear life after, he wrote the story. Dear life after, he's the author. Dear life after, I trust you. Dear life after, I'm grateful for you. Dear life after, only you know the ending. I thank you so much for joining us on today. I encourage you again as you go through your week to just thank him for being who he is and remember to trust him. Um, we also want to share some announcements with you in regards to what we have going on this platform from my producer. She is just awesome. I tell you, God knows who to connect. Trust me, he knows.
For if you did, you would live.
Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m. Grab your tea in the mornings for Lonnie B for devotionals. You will not be disappointed. And then on Friday mornings at 8 a.m., every other Friday, we have Bible study with Manny Cush on every other Friday. You will so enjoy him sharing the word with you. And then on Sundays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have Motivation Moments with Gregory Bloomfield. Of course, on Saturdays, we have Dear Life After with myself, your host, Rosalind, at 11 a.m. And listen, also, if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, listen, on tomorrow, Sunday, October the 1st, New Covenant Christian Fellowship Church is celebrating 20 years of breaking barriers in the ministry. And let me tell you, Pastor Andre Bird Sr. and Lady Jacqueline Bird, listen, if you don't have a church home, I just encourage you to come and visit with us tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. or tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. And listen, you will so be elated at the things that God is doing in the house over at New Covenant Christian Fellowship Church. You will not be disappointed. Listen. So those are the things that we have going on. And listen, on next Friday, if I have it right, October the 6th, I believe it is, we have Dear Life After Hours at 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So how about you join us? Yes, if you are interested, if you know someone who wants to share their story, Dear Life After, have them to email me at dearlifeafter@gmail.com. Listen, also, I have partnered with Dr. Kusamo, and we have some life-changing things that we are doing. We have some skinny drops. If you want to get healthy, come partner with us so that you can be all fine and healthy all at the same time. Listen, are you ready? Are you ready? Listen, they will change your life. Listen, it tells you all the things. They balance your hormones, they decrease inflammation, they help you with weight loss, they give you energy, they help with those cravings. Listen, these skinny drops are something. So listen, don't miss out now. Don't say I didn't share it with you, because I did. But also, while I'm sharing this with you, I want you to share our platforms. Okay, if they encourage you, change your life, or help you in any type of way, then just share them with others. Tag them and invite them to like and follow our pages. Okay, again, that's Dear Life After. They need, if they would follow, we are the Kusamos. I am Lonnie B. Those are the pages that we ask that you please share with others. Again, thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us, because what? Smile, you owe it to yourself, and make it a great day on purpose. And we'll see you on next week. Uh-oh.
Thank you, Jesus.